I watched it. I watched it destroy towers, towers in the physical and towers in the mental of a continent. And everybody knows there's something they can contribute. So we do our best to offer value to those around us. And today, I'm going to tell you the story of the steak dinner, right? Because I meet people, they're business owners, and they're always super busy, right? Super busy, super busy. And you know me, those that follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, it's Pasha Paroh everywhere. They know that we're also about mental health awareness and emotional intelligence is what really birthed this channel. And there's always the opportunity to invest in each other, as knowledge is power. There's some book that stated that our people perish due to lack of knowledge, not lack of clients. So when we investigate that rabbit hole to the infinity, in the distant ways, we find solution. In the voltage, we just did a video discussing the impact of not fearing the voltage. So creatives, put yourself in the perspective of having a client, and you do a task filled list of deliverables for $500. And that's got you constantly busy, right? Because now you got to do 50 of them, right? That's 50 different clients or 25 clients that want 2 each. And your max is, with quality, if you were to max to the ceiling, glass ceiling, realistic, unrealistic, 2 per week would be your deliverables to maintain quality. I was given direction by the Most High that the community can benefit from additional time with what may be a first impression. So if you're starting with a product that you can only do 2 per week quality, and you're looking at 500 a pop, and I advise to you that Pasha says, you know, when you pick up that tool, it should be 10,000. Now, if you're at 500, you've worked hard to get yourself in a position as a business owner to feel like you, at that point in time, you're feeling like you're demanding a premium of $500 because you worked hard to achieve that level. And that in itself is part of the dynamic of the issue. I want our communities to not focus on work. Because in order to feel good about work, you have to keep doing it. Think of it like everything's a drug, right? So now, if we focus on work, if your wife focuses on how hard you work, how many hours you work, your value is now displayed in busyness, activity, action, motion. So anytime you stop for a moment, you feel like you're losing value, or by default, you will be losing value because your perspective is work. Instead, if we alter the perspective to that of yield, it changes the dynamics. Because then we won't be thinking in terms of how many hours did we stay busy. We will look at each opportunity as what did we produce. Then you're free from the hours, from the mentality of the wage earner. And you are free to find happiness in the infinity of your creativity, not how long it took you to do it. What does that look like, Pasha? So you're a creative that has a product that you can do 2 a week and 500, and I say to you, it should be 10,000. If you watch our last video, you'll see how the fear of the unknown, what will they think about me? Where can I find this? Where did all these unknowns? The fear of the unknown causes paralysis. It takes the same energy to ask a client for 400, 500, 600, maybe 75 in your case, as it does to ask for 10,000. So what's stopping you? The gap might be the value. The gap might be, and then value might be, how much you're going to put into the product. The value could be simply that it's you that did the product. The value is to be continued, to be determined. That's what agreements are about. And what we've learned about the pros and the cons of the society, of the free market in its current state, even, is that each one values what they value. Everybody's not serving chicken fried rice, because chicken fried rice is gonna be the same cost based on the ingredients, right? Let's lock it into one single day and say that whatever it costs to make it is what it is for that day. The price for chicken fried rice is going to be the price no matter who walks through that door. Because that's retail. But creatives, true producers, true creators of universes, true God, little God, in the world of man, produces the value that we experience. So if you feel like 10,000 is not what somebody else is out there pushing the same product that you have for, what you charge 500 or 1,000 for, then start with, you're most likely mistaken. There's probably someone charging 10. There's people charging 25,000. There's people charging $500,000. See, if I want to help make this community sustainable, if you're going to be a part of America, the first thing you got to know is this is the land of the free. Now, free can be defined in today's example off the top as zero. Now, that's what most people think about when they think about free. They think about zero, right? And aside from the Big Bang in their history, their story, from nothing comes nothing, right? And that's not to say there's not the anomalies, right? But you're not trying to plan to be 0.0001 of the percent chance you'll get hit by a comet. You want to actually schedule it. You want to increase the likelihood, the chances. So the other side of free is when you not have zero, but the opposite, the equal opposite. Oh, how do we forget about there's always the equal opposite? So instead of the scarcity mentality of free has to be zero, once we switch over as a nation to the mindset of free as in abundance, then we can produce. You can have free of, right? Your mind can say zero is free of it, or free is zero, which is free of. Damn, we don't got that. We're free of. We don't got time. We're free of that, right? Or you can have free to. Free to. Free of. There's no charge for that because I ain't got it. Free of. You can have free to. Yeah, you need that in there? Yeah, that's approved. You're free to do that. You need time? Approved. You're free to take time. See, the worker mind don't believe in free time. I tell them all the time. But they run around saying I'm sly. Because I told them not to believe in time. Well, that was by design. That's branding. That's marketing. So, all right, coming back to my point. If you have to do, let's say at 500, you have to do 20 processes of meeting a client, screening a client to see if it's a client that you even want to be your client, processing the entitlements, all the way through deliverables and implementation and controls, right? 20 times you got to do that, 20 times at 500 for it to be 10K. And it's not a cookie cutter, because when you're creative, you're doing bespoke. Right? You're producing. $20 times. 20 times the questions, the thought processes, the explanations, the reports, the downloading files, right? 20 times. Now, if you apply the voltage and do 1 for 10K, right? Because when you started off with the 500, that may not even be your first price point. You might have know people out there that's doing it for 125. So you could go down to their vantage point. You do it for 125 because you feel like you gotta get your name out there. You gotta get popular, right? Now, the question is, who are you getting popular with? At 125, you're getting popular with the market that can do 125, because you're gonna think about everything you do to appeal to that client, generally speaking, right? Then on the other side, people like us, we want to see what the max that we can achieve with what we have is, and always just go to the max. And then work with people, and part of working with us is we take them to the max. And the max is always expanding like a universe, because infinity. So chicken fried rice or the infinity. Okay? Now, I articulated, let's say a person in that situation, 500 per product, ask me, how do you leverage the demand for 3,000 to 5,000 per logo? Okay. I say, you know what? I appreciate your time. I see you with fine shit. Great, go do whatever business, because everybody working on something. I'd rather talk to you about that when I have your undivided attention at a later time in the future, because it's a process and I want to work with you in the beginning, from the onboarding through the process, all the different steps, and show you how and where to add value. I'm a green belt in enterprise change and project management. And I'll walk you through it on your next couple clients. We'll talk, we'll negotiate terms. Now, here's how the steak dinner comes in. So I said I'd rather show you. And you like to help people when you're 10 years, 15 years ahead of, when what they're doing, you were doing 15 years ago. And I find this interesting because when you share with people high value, they always assume that they understand. Those people interest me because they inspire me to see what the community needs to know. Everybody has value. Like the issue is comprehension and communication and connection. We need to ask better questions, because the assumption that fucks a lot of shit up and delays a lot of shit. Like, I'm used to getting calls 5-7 years later from people who swore up and down what I was telling them was crazy, and they just couldn't put it together. And then 5 to 7 years later, they're reaching out to me to say they finally appreciate it, for real, which is tragic. I mean, but great at the same time. So in the conversation, hey, how would you go from 500 with a client to 10,000? I'd rather show you. And then I asked them, if I tell you how to do this right now, would you feel like it was worth the cost of a steak dinner? Now, first of all, how much does a steak dinner cost? $30? $85? $250? I don't know, what is it, 500, 1,000? I've never been with the gold flake. $1,500. Is it the Wagyu from Japan that it's $12.50 for the cut before it's even cooked with nothing else? How much is the cost of a steak dinner? So the interesting part is those who know me know I rarely eat steak. But for those who don't, now we're discussing the steak dinner, the value. So when people are in a group and you're solo in negotiations, the mob mentality looks to mob to influence, which is democracy. So it's not like, don't get emotional about the words. Just take them for what they mean and not how you feel about it. So I wrote the song Gaslighting to help you understand that part of negotiations. We'll just describe it like that. Now, I said, I'd rather show you. Okay, so here's the question. How can I go from 500 to 10,000? Now, keep in mind, it's comprehension. Like, if I say to you, hey, you do music, right? Like, are you an artist? And you say, yeah. And I'm meaning, like, do you spit? And you like, yeah. And then I'd be like, well, let's do a track real quick. Because I don't want, we got an opportunity. We both here now. I don't want 5 years from now for you to say, Pasha never tried to work with me. Now he, whatever, X. You feel the variables. So right off the door, I'm like, let's work. Let's create. See the difference in how you feel when I say work and create? Which one did you prefer? Let's produce. Let's make a track. See, that doesn't mean if you're a producer that I'm asking you to, I may not be asking for help. I was actually giving you an opportunity to hop on a track in my mind, right? So there may be confusion in the words being translated to what they actually mean, which causes people to walk away, feeling differently about the same scene. Now, if one asks, how can you go from 500 to 10,000? And I say, I'd rather show you. How do you feel like this would be worth if I tell you the cost of a steak dinner? And they huddled up. And the consensus was, they don't think that if I could tell them how to go from 500 to 10,000, that it would be worth a steak dinner. So I said, okay. And there was a disco. There was a disco of conversation. And it concluded with that person saying, if you can bring me 2 clients that pay 10,000, I'll give you $6,000. And I said, well, I like to show everybody in an exercise. That's like a leadership standpoint. And this concludes your training. And out of either gaslighting, right? Because it's how I like to invest in people, because we could give so much in conversation. Because the 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 thing isn't the the thing isn't for me in what I know. Yeah, I know a lot. A lot of people know a lot. You know a lot. A lot is nothing compared to infinity. We gotta admit we don't know what we don't know. So find out who you're talking to, right? And assess value then, right? Because once you say at that point, oh well, if you can bring me two, I'll give you 6,000. What was just illustrated was for, and actually two things out of actually an infinity of things, but two things I want to focus on. One, it took that person from the fear of going from 500 to 10,000 as an impasse, and we've now reached the level of acceptance of the possibility. So step one, right? In order, no matter how good of a coach or how much you're gonna put in for somebody else as a client, as their them being your client, it means nothing if they don't believe in it themselves, or they don't know it themselves, or they don't know the value. And that's part of why you have to communicate it. So that part, now they're accepting and they're aware. Damn, it should be 10,000. What the fuck am I doing? Right? And then your brain starts to justify all these reasons why you fear going to 10,000. Nah. The people. And we come up with all these reasons, right? Because I've been there, right? And that's why I'm telling you to go from 500 to 5,000, because when I tell you how much it is for my expertise, I need you to be able to be comfortable. So see, my investment in the community is to build you up so that we can all be at a greater level of play in whatever game is your spades. So I'm branding America because America's biggest complaint is that we can't compete against the United States corporations. And you can put it in the comments below, whatever it is you've had as a complaint in the last 12 months. And I guarantee I can show you how it's economics based. So Pasha's branding America. Pasha's not going to encourage you to do 20 products at 500 when I know I can help you do one for 10. Because I want you to be free. Six months booked up ain't free. So the irony was, I walked them through the process of how to do it for themselves mentally. And then on the other side of it, we started at the value question being do you think it'll be worth the cost of a steak dinner? Now, without going into all the variables of the equation with the details of A and B, B was, and listen to the wording very carefully, this is the difference between you not winning your court case or your mock trial or your negotiation, and you do. Now, what he said was, $6,000 if you can bring him to 10K customers. Now, that means you were at 500, right? You were at the steak dinner, which we say is worth $7,500 to $2,500 a plate. Right? To $6,000. And all you had to do was note the request for a change in deliverables. In that example, now remember, there's an infinity. Person A257B may not ask for you to do it. They may just want you to coach them and tell them how to do it. Person Bravo 1260 might just say, I need 2 weeks of your time. And your last customer might only took 1 Zoom meeting. And I said, I might have to charge you, right? If, you don't see what I'm saying. And that's okay, because you just might need more time. But I always try to invest in the community first. And sometimes it's 5 to 7 years later before you get to thank you. And to be a great leader, you got to be comfortable with the pain of what will register to you as delay. And I need you to understand today that it is not delay, it is the growth process. See, if someone then tells you, nah, you running game, just blah, 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 right? And then they don't get it, whatever it is, they just don't get it at that moment. You have to be okay with accepting, that was your purpose, to plant the seed. You've heard this before in many ways. That was your purpose, was to plant the seed. What we start off wanting to do is also be there to bear the fruit, or when the fruit is bared. And to be the greatest, you got to be okay with the pain in between the seed and the fruit. Because it's different if you're growing avocados than it is when you're growing peaches. So you gotta be comfortable with variables. It's a process. So instead of seeing free as zero, see free as abundance. Be free too. Because then it's about your execution. Right? If you choose to execute or not, it's not about being restricted from. Okay? And that's what's going to take us from the constriction, right? The constriction that we're feeling, okay? And we can start to experience the expansion that I know you all really want. Because when you undercut each other, or you base yourself off of what they're going to call the market, right? What happens? Somebody's doing it for 500. Somebody's going to say they can do it for 450, 425, 330. I got 200 over here. I got 100 over there. I got this person will do it for free if you just put their name on it. I said to them, let's say in that story, let's say I said to him, if you're gonna be in the mentality of saying, I'll do a project for free for somebody, do it for those who you're needing to invest in to build up. Because the confusion you have is that the project can be done for free. No, the project wasn't free. You just didn't charge them fiat currency. And I'm not disputing, the barter system, we can trade product. That only works when one person's not nostalgic. Right? Everybody's got to be current for it to actually be an option. So alternating current for those that didn't catch it. I'm a Virgo. Like, the humor is there, y'all. It's just, did you catch it? So once we start focusing on expansion, right, we'll stop having this race to everything being free, which is restriction. And then we can start building value. Like you heard me say before, we gotta be okay with going next door and paying $2, $3, $4, $5 extra for the product that you would buy at Walmart or Target today. You don't need that extra pair of Nikes when you can, instead of getting those Nikes, you can invest $5 into X amount of people. Instead of, when you get your chicken fried rice, instead of not tipping, we know it comes from slavery, but instead of not tipping, you can have, the establishment can have the $5. we different places they break it up different ways. But let's just say what you're doing is if you like that place and they're giving you the bill for X, the chicken fried rice, then that's just what it costs to produce the chicken fried rice. There's no additional I give a fucks about you and or this place here beyond what it costs for you to give me what I wanted from you. And we don't see a problem with that. We don't see the restriction of it. We don't see that we're focused on being free of instead of free to invest in each other. So that one less pair of Nikes would you be free to put $5 on the tip, or 500, or 5,000, or 10. Both ways. Like as the payee and the pay to. See, the streets in America, the saying used to be that they were paved in gold. And the only reason they're not today is because America didn't pave your roads. The United States paved your roads, and they felt like you deserve asphalt. Well, Pasha's here to tell you, if we come together and know our value, we determine if our streets are paved in gold, because America will pave their own streets. Because we will no longer be free of the conditions to do it, the resources to do it, the manpower to do it, the trust in each other to do it, the belief that it can be done, the knowing that we all are one. We will be free too, because it'd be nothing to us. I'm Pasha Paroh.